Hkdse 2019 question 1. Here we have a block of 80 degrees Celsius put into a water at 40 degrees Celsius. And so they exchange heat. Finally, they become 70 degrees Celsius. So as we see that the hot object, the block at 80 degrees, has changed its temperature for 10 degrees from 80 to 70, whereas the water has changed the temperature for 30 degrees Celsius. So let's look at statement A. Energy gained by water is greater than the energy lost by the block. This is incorrect because assume no energy is lost to surroundings. The two objects will exchange heat between themselves, so all the heat released by the hot object will be taken up by the cold object. So the heat gain should be equals to heat loss. So this statement is wrong. B. The mass of water is greater than that of mass of the block. How do we determine that? We can start with looking at the temperature change, because now we know that the temperature change of the hot object is smaller. It only changed for 10 degrees. And the temperature change of the cold water is 30 degrees, so it's larger. Also, we know that water has a high specific heat capacity than any other things. So the specific heat is higher, the temperature change is higher for the water. The only possibility for the equation to hold is that the water should have a much smaller mass than the block, so that this will happen. So if you say that the mass of water is greater than the mass of block, this will be incorrect. Okay, thirdly, the specific heat capacity of water is smaller than that of the block's material. Now, of course, this should probably be wrong because water has a very high specific heat capacity. And also for the similar reason as before, because we know that the water has a larger change in temperature, whereas the block has smaller change. So probably the water has higher and specific heat capacity. Okay, lastly, let's look at statement D. The heat capacity of water is smaller than that of the block. Okay, so let's try to analyze this. Again, we know that the water has changed for larger temperature and the block has changed for smaller temperature. So one of the explanation is that the other product for mass times the specific heat capacity, to let the equation hold, this product has to be small, this product has to be large. So what is the product of M times C? This is basically the heat capacity of the water. And on the other side, this is the heat capacity of the block. So we can see that the heat capacity of water should be smaller, whereas the heat capacity of block is larger. So that's why this statement is correct.